So second at the arms, so run we can. Fine, we are time to fight it, beast the pan. Complete short, wicked accents of milk wars to be commenced in strands of far remote. No other thirsty engines of this sort. Turn down the lips with our own children's blood. No one's a trench in more channel of fields. No one's a it's with the armored hoops of hostile faces. Those supposed eyes like the meteors of the troubled heaven. All of one nature, of one substance bred. Delaying meat in the intestine shock. And furious course of civil butchery. So now we mutual well-beseeming ranks march all one way and be no more opposed against acquaintance, kindred, and allies. The edge of war like an ill-she-bent knife. No one shall cut his master therefore friends. As far as to the sepulchre of Christ the soldier now, under whose blessed cross we are impressed and engaged to fight forth with the power of English shadowy levy, whose arms are molded in their mother's womb to chase these pagans in those holy fields. 25 over whose acres walked those blessed feet, which 1400 years ago, whenever our advantage on the bitter cross. But this our purpose now is 12-month-old. The ruthless teach to tell you we will go. Tell you therefore we meet not now. Then let me hear of you, my gentle cousin Westmoreland. Well, yes, tonight our council did decree important is dear XP. My life, this case was hot and question, and many limits of the charge set down. But yesterday night, when all I thought that came, a post from Wales loaded with heavy news, whose horse was left in no mortar, leading the men of Harrisburg trying to fight against the irregular and wild blend. Doubles by the rude hands of that Welshman taken. 1,000 others people butchered upon whose dead corpse there was such misuse, such beastly, shameless transformation by those Welsh women done, as may not be without much shame retold or spoken of. It seems that at the time of this world, break off our babies for the Holy Land. It seems then that the tidings of this broil break off our business for the Holy Land. It seems then that the tidings of this broil break off our business for the Holy Land. It seems then that the tidings of this broil break off our business for the Holy Land. It seems then that the tidings of this broil break off our business for the Holy Land. Break off our business for the Holy Land. It's matched with other dead, my gracious Lord. For more uneven and unwelcome news came from the north, and thus it did import. On Holy Rood Day, the gallant Hotspur there, young Harry Percy and brave Archibald, that ever valiant and approved it Scott, that Hormedon met where they did sped a sad and bloody hour. As by discharge of their artillery, in shape of likelihood the news was told. For he that brought them in the very heat and pride of their contention did take horse, uncertain of the issue anyway.
Here is the deal, a true industrious friend. Sir Walter Blunt new lighteth on his horse, stained with the variation of each soil betwixt the Hormedon and the seat of ours. And he hath brought us smooth and welcome news. The Earl of Douglas is discomfited. 10,000 bold Scots, 2 and 20 knights, balked in their own blood in Sir Walter's seat. On Hormedon's plains of prisoners, Hotspur too, Mordred Earl of Fife and eldest son to Beaton Douglas and the Earl of Athol. Among Angus and Mattia, that is not this an honorable the spoil, a gallant prize, cousin, is it not?
Your faith, it is a conquest for a prince's boast. ask for a princess boaster. Yeah, death thou makes me sad and makes me sin in envy that my Lord Northumberland should be the father to so blessed a son, a son who is the theme of honest tongue, amongst a grove the very straightest plant, who is sweet fortune's minion and her pride, whilst I lie looking on the praise of him, see riot and dishonor stain the brow of my young Harry. Oh, that it could be proved that some night tripped and fairy had exchanged in cradle clothes our children where they lay, and called my Percy his Plantagenet. Then would I have his Harry and he mine, but led him from my thoughts. What think you? 'Cause of this young Percy's pride, the prisoners which he in this adventure hath surprised, to his own use he keeps and sends me word, I shall have none but Mordake, Earl of Fife. This is Buster. Malevolent to you in all aspects, which makes him prove himself and bristle up. The crest of youth against your dignity. The crest of youth against your dignity. Against your dignity. But I would seek for him to answer this and the this, 'cause a while we must neglect our only purpose to Jerusalem, cousin. On Wednesday next, our council we will hold it ransom. So we're on the Lord, become yourself, which read to us again. For more is to be said and to be done, and out of anger can be uttered. For more is to be said and to be done, and out of anger can be uttered. My liege. I will, my liege.